And no sooner has that happened than they get frightened at the very power they've given the government with their collapse. So it becomes necessary to stop it, reverse it, limit it, and to do things, crazy things, like referring to Mr. Obama as a socialist. The only purpose being to back the government off. So we have chaos. The Federal Reserve is about to pump more money in because it recognizes the chaos. We have not been able to generate jobs. In September, to give you just one idea, last month in September, a bizarre result. The private sector added 64,000 jobs. It's limping, that's very little. That's much less jobs than you need just to keep pace with the growing number of young people entering the labor force. So if you produce 64,000 jobs a year in this country, in the private sector, unemployment goes up, because that leaves lots of new people with no job, whereas it doesn't provide jobs for anybody who already is unemployed. But don't get too happy with 64,000. In the same month of September that the private sector added 64,000 jobs, state and local governments in the United States fired 77,000 people. Why? Because with a crisis like this, no taxes are being, or many fewer taxes are being paid. Unemployed people don't pay income tax. Unemployed people and their families don't buy as much stuff, so there's no sales tax being paid. As the value of everybody's property goes down, the property taxes paid go down. Everywhere, states and localities, towns are without revenue, tremendous cutbacks. So one of the things they're doing, think about the irrationality of this. We have a serious unemployment problem, and the response of our states and cities is not to provide the extra services that you need in a period of unemployment. There are 8 million studies to show, for example, that if one or both parents are unemployed, the children in school are having more trouble. There's tension at home, there's stress at home, there's all kinds of difficulties, and those are brought by the kids into the school. You need more school teachers, more counselors, you need more help. People have mental health problems, people have physical problems, people's neighborhoods begin to deteriorate. You need more attention by the police, by the fire. In a crisis, you need the government to help you more. What is happening in the United States? In the crisis, we are laying off tens of thousands of public employees and cutting their services because we don't have the workers. We need more, but we actually provide ourselves with less. This situation is out of control, and the Federal Reserve realizes we're now in a situation where the bad unemployment looks like it's going to get worse. So they're going to come in again and do more of the same policy, flood the system with money, and hope that the money, in the old days we used to say, trickles down. Nowadays we use other words, but the same idea. Percolates through the economy and gets things going again. So I'm afraid I have to tell you that a month into this 4-session program, our economic crisis is, if anything, worse in all of its key dimensions than it was a month ago. Let me turn now to the international dimensions that I want to go over with you. The first one comes directly out of this crisis situation in the United States, and the fact that the crisis is also very much alive in many other parts of the world, particularly Europe and Japan. One way out for the United States that the Obama administration, and indeed the Bush before it, have been hoping for, would be if there were a surge in exports. See this as a kind of recognition that the American people are not going to be surging to buy anything. They have no money. They can't borrow anymore. They've been traumatized by what just happened, and they're trying to pare down their debts, which means any extra money they have is used to pay off their debts, not to buy things. So the idea that you're going to have a surge of demand for goods and services coming out of the American people is a long shot. But you need to give jobs to people. And if you're going to give people jobs to produce things, somebody has to buy it. So if the Americans are not going to buy it, your hope is maybe the foreigners will buy it. Maybe the United States can get itself out of this hole by exporting. Well, how are you going to make people around the world buy more of your stuff? To therefore give more of your people jobs making that stuff that you export. The only quick and easy way to do that is to cheapen the price of what you produce. That'll make people buy more of it. But that's not attractive, because if you charge less, then you're going to get less. You'll sell more stuff, but you're not going to get more money because you're cutting the price. Is there a way to cut the price without you suffering your profits if you're a company? Turns out there is. Here's what you do. You cheapen the value of your currency in relationship to other currencies. Suppose a foreigner has to give 10 whatever his or her currency is to get a buck, a dollar, with which to buy some object that costs a dollar. Now suppose you can do something to make the dollar cheaper. So he doesn't have to give this foreigner 10 whatevers for a dollar. He only has to give 8. For him, the $1 object in the United States now only costs 8 of whatever currency they come from, not 10. You, the American, are still getting the dollar, which is what you care about. You sell it to the foreigner only needs 8. Whoa, this is exciting. Now all we need to do is have the government lower the value of the dollar, cheapen the dollar. And then foreigners, because it'll be cheaper to get dollars, will find all American goods that much cheaper, and they'll buy them. Nice idea. If the rest of the world just played dead while you did this, it would work. Everybody around the world would buy more American stuff because it became cheaper. But now think a minute. Be an economist. It takes years and years to figure out the simplicity I'm about to go through with you. Think a minute. If people buy more American stuff, then they're probably going to buy less of the other stuff. Like, say, the stuff made in their own country. They'll buy an American car, TV. Well, we don't make TVs. Something, we must make something. Airplanes, something, weapons, whatever it is. So it turns out the leaders of the other country see the American effort to lower the value of the dollar as a direct threat to them. If we're successful and people stop buying what's made in their country and switch to American exports, that's lovely for the United States and awful for their country. And the local people in that country will scream at their politicians, saying in their own dialect, "You are an asshole." And the politicians are not so stupid. They've already figured this out. So they're not going to do it. And they're going to one-up the United States. Ha! You lowered the value of your currency? Watch this. And they do the same. This is called, and we're already in it, a currency war. You're going to be reading about it. You already are if you pay attention to the financial press. There's a currency war. For example, in half the races for the United States elections next month, in half, one or another of the politicians, and sometimes both of them, are daily getting wonderful reviews from the local media for denouncing the Chinese government because it is artificially influencing the value of their currency. Very complicated, by the way, because their currency has 2 different names. It's called the renminbi is one name, and the yuan is another. But when you see the 2 names, it's the same thing. So they are screaming, "You Chinese people, you keep your currency cheap," which is why Americans buy all that stuff, you see. And if you were fair, by the way, when in the world of international economics, you hear anyone talk about fair, reach in your wallet and hold it tight. Someone is hustling you. There is no fair. Fair is for children playing with marbles, and even they learn pretty quickly how to do things. No one leaves their currency unmanipulated. The world of currency is the world in which everybody is manipulating all the time. Are the Chinese manipulating? For sure. But they are not unique in this game. Everybody is doing this. But the United States, in a population with its economic, how shall I say, educational level being what it is, this kind of argument flies.